some friends of a patient came to have him collected and taken out of hospital. The patient was being treated for a medical condition which was deemed to be quite ill, and the medical staff would like to have him continued on treatment. His friends came to the accident emergency department, I understand, and they had some discussion with the clinical staff who were there, asking that the patient be removed. I understand that the clinical staff who were there at the time did advise that the best way to deal with the patient is to have him stay for further treatment, but should the patient be removed, that the process would involve him being signed out. I'm further told that, having spoken to the staff about it, the decision was that the friends would have him removed. I understand the relative was present at the time, and the person would have followed the government protocol, which is to sign himself out, and they removed him from the accident and emergency department.
Do you know what time this happened and whether or not the person came into the hospital this morning or last night?
No, the person was here for over 24 hours. And the time when it would have happened would be after 10 o'clock, shortly after 10, because I was in a meeting at the time when this matter was occurring, and I was given a phone call that there were some issues happening in the accident emergency department, where there was an area of concern that the person was to be signed out. We had some some discussion about the process, and it was deemed best that the person follow the guidelines of signing the form, and his friends collected him and removed him from.
Were there any guns drawn?
In terms of gun, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of any implements of violence, whether it be knife or gun was available. Word on the street is that they said gunmen were there. In speaking to the staff who were there, there's no report of anybody pulling a weapon on anyone there. The protocol which would have been followed would be that the local security was present. They would have called upon the Jamaican Constabulary Force to assist them in that matter. I understand the police were also present, but the incident was de-escalated when the patient was removed, and it seemed amicable on all parts. Now, how often do these things happen? Not very often, but one must bear in mind that as the culture in Jamaica changes, where you're seeing more and more more and more violence occurring, these things will likely happen not only outside of the hospital, but they will also happen within the hospital. I think the factor which made the difference this morning, that the number of persons who came to collect their friend was overwhelming. Best way to deal with that is to have a conversation with the family and the patient himself to see how best you can deal with the situation.
There was a patient from a Mafoota district in St. James who was admitted at the Cornwall Regional Hospital with a medical condition. He was restrained based on his behavior by the medical team and was being treated. However, his relatives might have been of the view that the issue that he was suffering from was not medical, but was spiritual, and proceeded to release the restraint and became boisterous with the medical team, indicating that they want him to be released from the hospital. As a result of that, the medical team, I was advised, decided to release the patient in the custody of his mother and have his mother sign a release form, and thereafter they left with him. Police responded to a complaint, and upon the arrival of the police, the medical team, I was advised, briefed the police, after which the police left the location to carry out further inquiries. There was no confrontation between police and any gunman at that location, and there was, for that matter, no confrontation between police and the family members. The gentleman is a former taxi operator, and from all indication was never part of any gang and has never been involved in any confrontation with the police. As it is right now, we are looking at the situation to see what next the police can do to intervene in the man's condition, because the medical team are of the view that he has a medical condition and not a spiritual condition, as we call obia.